What if Rome's greatest nightmare wasn't a barbarian horde, but 12 men they couldn't even see? 12 US Army Green Berets, the masters of unconventional warfare, against a full Roman consular army. 2 legions, 10,000 men. At first glance, it's a suicide mission. The math is broken. 800 to 1. But the Green Berets don't fight fair. They don't stand in lines. They don't wait for the trumpet. Because while the Romans own the daylight, the special forces own the night. It's not a battle. It's a hunt. Can the world's first superpower survive a war against the future's ultimate predators? The Shadow War begins now. The theater of operations is the Cilician Gates, a narrow mountain pass in the Taurus Mountains. To the Romans, this is a strategic choke point, the gateway to their eastern provinces. To the Green Berets, it's a kill box. The terrain is brutal. Jagged limestone cliffs soar 800 feet on either side of a road barely wide enough for 6 men to march abreast. A freezing mountain river churns below. The air is thin, cold, and smells of wet stone. On one side, a Roman consular army. 2 full legions, the 13th and the 14th. 10,000 legionaries, 2,000 auxiliary cavalry, and a massive baggage train of gold, food, and slaves. They stretch for 3 miles along the narrow mountain road. They are a slow, clanking, armored serpent of bronze and iron. Hidden in the crevices of the cliffs above are 12 men. ODA 555, Operational Detachment Alpha, the Green Berets. They aren't holding a line. They are ghosts in the rocks. These are not just soldiers. They are force multipliers. They don't fight armies. They collapse them from the inside. The gear. They carry the Scar H, 7.62 millimeters, for long-range stopping power. They have M203 grenade launchers, M249 SAWs, and Barrett 50 caliber anti-material rifles. The magic. They possess GPNVG 18 panoramic night vision, the 4-eyed goggles. To the Green Berets, the moonless night looks like high-definition daylight. To the Romans, the night is a black shroud of terror. The explosives. C4 plastic explosives, claymore mines, and fragmentation grenades. These aren't weapons the Romans have a word for. In 50 BC, an explosion is not a tactical event. It is the wrath of Jupiter. The intelligence. They have drones. Small, silent, Black Hornet nano-drones, buzzing 100 feet above the Roman general's head, transmitting his every movement to a ruggedized tablet. Led by proconsul Marcus Lucullus, a man who studied under Caesar, he is a master of the triplex asses. The shield. 10,000 scutums, a wall of wood that has never failed. The strategy. Lucullus knows he is in a choke point. He has scouts out, but they are looking for barbarians with spears, not men in camouflage with suppressed rifles. The hubris. The Romans believe that because they are the civilized world, no small force can stop their progress. They march with the confidence of a god. Let's talk about the ballistics of terror. The Romans are encased in lorica hamata, chainmail, or segmentata. To a 7.62 millimeter NATO round, this armor is non-existent. A Green Beret can engage a target from 800 yards with 99% accuracy. The Romans' best weapon, the pilum, has an effective range of 25 yards. That is a 775-yard God zone, where the Green Berets can kill and the Romans cannot touch them. But the Green Berets' greatest weapon isn't the rifle. It's sabotage. They aren't going to shoot all 10,000 men. They are going to cut the serpent's head off, blind its eyes, and watch it eat itself. As the sun dips behind the Taurus mountains, the Roman army begins to make camp. They follow the standard procedure, digging a ditch, raising wooden stakes, sudis. Proconsul Lucullus sits in his tent, looking at a map by candlelight. He hears the wind howling through the pass. He doesn't know that 600 yards away, on a ledge that no human should be able to climb, a Green Beret sniper is looking at the heat signature of his head through a loopholed scope. Target identified. The big fish is in the tent. The sniper whispers into his bone conduction mic. Copy. Stand by for Operation Midnight Sun. The team sergeant responds from a hidden cave 2 miles up road. The Romans light their campfires. Thousands of flickering orange lights fill the valley. They are singing, eating grain, and sharpening their steel. They feel safe. They are 10,000 strong. Above them, the Green Berets are placing C4 charges on the key rock formations, overhanging the narrowest part of the road. They are rigging claymore mines in the tall grass where the Roman scouts will pass. Charges set. Perimeter is hot. The team sergeant looks at his watch. 200 hours. The dead hour. The Green Berets flip down their NVGs. The world turns a ghostly digital green. They see the Roman sentries, tired, cold, huddled around fires. They see the massive baggage train holding the army's food. Initiate. The first strike isn't a shot. It's an explosion. The Green Berets detonate the C4 on the cliffside. Thousands of tons of rock and shale roar down the mountain, completely burying the rear exit of the pass. The sound is like the earth cracking open. 10,000 Romans wake up in a panic. The world is shaking. Dust fills the air. They look back and see their escape route erased. And then, the lights go out. The Green Berets use suppressed rifles to pick off every torchbearer in the camp. One by one, the fires are extinguished by invisible hands. Total, pitch-black darkness swallows the Roman army. A Roman centurion screams for a light. A second later, a .50 caliber round from the Barrett rifle hits him from a mile away. His body isn't just hit, it's vaporized. His armor fragments become shrapnel, killing the 3 men next to him. To the Romans, there is no enemy. There is only the darkness, the sound of thunder, and their brothers exploding into red mist. The Green Berets aren't just fighting a war. They are creating a myth.
In the Roman mind, there are no special forces. There are only vengeful spirits. The Green Berets begin using LRADs, long-range acoustic devices, beaming high-frequency, terrifying screams and demonic voices directly into the center of the Roman camp. Imagine being a Roman soldier. You are trapped in a canyon. The road is blocked. Your leaders are being decapitated by invisible thunder. And now, the very air is screaming at you in a language of the gods. The tension is no longer a rubber band. It's a wire under a ton of pressure. Proconsul Lucullus rushes out of his tent, screaming for his guard. He sees his elite praetorians falling one by one, holes appearing in their bronze chests with a sickening thwack. He looks up at the cliffs. He sees nothing but the black void of the mountains. "Where are they?" he screams. The answer comes from a suppressed Sarch. A green laser dot appears on Lucullus's chest. He stares at the small emerald light, mesmerized. He thinks it's a star. It's the last thing he ever thinks. The mountain pass doesn't explode into a gunfight. It begins as a harvest. The 12 Green Berets are synchronized via encrypted mesh network headsets. They don't need to shout. They whisper.
Through their GP-NVG-18 panoramic night vision, the pitch-black canyon is rendered in a ghostly, high-definition phosphor green. They see the Roman sentries shivering. They see the steam rising from the Roman horses. Alpha 1, take the torch bearers. Bravo 1, focus on the crests. Free to engage. Thwip, thwip, thwip. The suppressed Scar H's fire. Subsonic rounds hiss through the air. In the Roman camp, the cornicons, the men responsible for blowing the signal horns, simply drop. No flash, no bang. Just a wet thud as 7.62mm rounds strike. The Roman army is decapitated before they even know they are in a fight. Without the horns, 10,000 men are just a deaf, blind giant. The Green Berets continue the silent assault, targeting officers, runners, and anyone capable of organizing resistance, turning the massive Roman force into a leaderless mass. The Roman army begins to unravel. Without command, without light, and under constant unseen attack, discipline fractures. Cohorts break formation. Men shout conflicting orders, and panic spreads like wildfire through the trapped column. The team sergeant watches the Roman camp dissolve into confusion. "Open the gates," he mutters. The two M240B machine gunners on the high ridges pull their triggers. They aren't aiming for individuals anymore. They are firing in interlocking fields of fire. Red tracers streak across the night sky like angry meteors, stitching lines of fire through the dense rows of Roman tents. The physics are horrifying. A Roman scutum shield is made of layered wood. A 7.62mm NATO round, traveling at 2,800 feet per second, treats that wood like air. The rounds punch through the shields, through the bronze plates, through the man, and into the two men sleeping behind him. "Contact!" the Romans scream, but they are screaming at the sky. They draw their gladius swords, ready to stab a ghost. They look up and see the dragons on the ridge spitting fire. Then come the M203 40mm grenades. Thump, thump, thump. The high explosive rounds land in the center of the horse lines and the grain stores. Fireballs erupt 30 feet into the air. The smell of burning wool, scorched horsehair, and ozone fills the canyon. To the Romans, this isn't warfare. This is the apocalypse. Their gods have turned against them. While the machine guns suppress the main force, 6 Green Berets fast rope down 80 feet of nylon line, landing silently in the heart of the Roman baggage train. They move in a diamond formation, a 360-degree bubble of lethality. They aren't using rifles now. They've transitioned to suppressed Glock 19s and combat knives. They move through the smoke like the lemures, the vengeful spirits of Roman myth. A Roman centurion lunges from the smoke with a spear. A Green Beret steps inside the guard, fires 2 rounds into the pelvis, and finishes with a knife to the femoral artery. It's surgical. It's cold. It's a level of violence the ancient world cannot comprehend. The SF team is using flashbangs, M84 stun grenades. Bang! 1 million candle power and 170 decibels of pure agony. The Romans within 30 feet are instantly blinded, their eardrums ruptured. They fall to their knees, clutching their bleeding ears. The Green Berets move through and neutralize each threat with a single, suppressed shot. But Rome was not built by cowards. A senior optio, his face blackened by soot, realizes the demons are made of flesh. He sees the brass casings falling from a Green Beret's rifle. He understands the man. "Testudo! Adme! Adme!" he roars. 300 Romans form a tight circle of shields. They huddle, overlapping wood and bronze, creating a wall of desperate defiance.
They begin to push forward toward the muzzle flashes. They are stepping over the shredded remains of their brothers. They are slipping in blood, but they are moving. Alpha 2, we've got a localized surge. They're swarm charging. Distance 15 meters. The Green Berets switch their scars to full auto. The sound becomes a continuous mechanical roar. At 15 meters, the muzzle blast alone scorches the Romans' tunics. The 308 rounds slam into the shields so fast, they vibrate the soldiers apart.
But for every Roman that falls, 3 more climb over the pile. It's a sea of bronze. The Green Berets are forced to step back. They are killing hundreds, but there are thousands more. Target saturated! We need a breather! Pop the claymores! The Green Berets trigger the M18A1 claymore mines they prepped earlier in the tall grass. Boom! 700 steel balls per mine erupt at 4,000 feet per second. It's like a giant shotgun blast from hell. The Roman surge is instantly turned into a wall of red mist. The front 3 ranks of the Legion don't just die, they disappear. The canyon goes silent again, except for the rhythmic chug, chug, chug of the Black Hornet drones overhead and the low moans of the dying. The 12 Green Berets stand in the center of a circle of 2,000 dead men. Their Marpat uniforms are soaked in ancient blood. They check their mags. They are 40% dry. The team sergeant looks into the dark. He sees the remaining 8,000 Romans. They aren't attacking anymore. They are staring. They are waiting for the demons to finish the world. Regroup on the extraction point, the sergeant orders. We've broken their spine. Now, let's leave them a nightmare they'll tell for 1,000 years. 5 o'clock. Hours. The golden hour for photographers, but the death hour for special forces. As the first rays of light hit the Cilician Gates, the GP-NVG-18 night vision goggles, the Green Berets' greatest advantage, begin to bloom and wash out. The high-definition green world fades into a blinding, blurry mess. The team sergeant snaps his goggles up. Eyes on! NVG's off! He commands. Suddenly, the world is real again. The smell isn't just ozone and gun oil. It's the stench of 10,000 unwashed men, horse manure, and the iron tang of a slaughterhouse. The 12 Green Berets are no longer ghosts. They are men in dusty camouflage, standing in a valley of corpses. And the Romans, they can finally see what has been killing them. In the wreckage of the camp, a young tribune named Gaius Maximus pulls himself from under a pile of dead auxiliaries. He looks at the ridge. He doesn't see 12-foot-tall demons. He sees 12 men. They look strange, yes. Their bows are made of black metal. Their armor is soft fabric. But they are bleeding. He sees a Green Beret patching a shrapnel wound on his arm. They bleed! Gaius screams, his voice cracking with a mixture of terror and newfound fury. Sanguinem habent! Homines sunt! They have blood. They are men. The word spreads through the remaining 8,000 Romans like wildfire. The supernatural terror that had paralyzed them for 3 hours begins to transmute into a cold Roman rage. They are the 13th and 14th legions. They conquered Gaul. They crossed the Rhine. They will not be humiliated by 12 men. Gaius Maximus doesn't call for a formation. He knows the thundersticks will rip through a testudo. Instead, he orders something more brutal. The creeping wave.
Hold your fire until you have a clean silhouette, the sergeant responds. We're black on 5.56. Only use the 7.62 for the high-value targets. The Green Berets are running out of the one thing they need to stay gods. Logistics. While the infantry pushes the flesh wall from the front, Gaius has sent his remaining 500 equites on a suicide mission. They aren't charging the front. They have dismantled their saddles and climbed the sheer limestone cliffs in the dark, flanking the ODA's position from above. Suddenly, a shadow falls over the Green Beret sniper team. Contact top! Contact rear! The Romans aren't using swords. They are using onagers and scorpions, primitive torsion engines dragged up the goat paths. Massive stone bolts and jars of flammable pitch begin to rain down on the Green Berets' extraction zone. A jar of pitch shatters near the team medic, engulfing the ODA's primary radio and their drone controller in a pillar of orange flame. The digital link is dead. No more drones. No more uplinks. The 12 men are now truly alone in 50 BC. The flesh wall is now 50 yards away. The Romans are screaming, a low, rhythmic grunt with every step. Moors! 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 Fix bayonets, the sergeant says. The sound of 12 knives clicking onto rifle barrels is the only sound in the ODA's perimeter. The Green Berets make a choice. They don't wait to be overwhelmed. They utilize their last remaining advantage, mobility. They detonate their final C4 charges rigged with nails, creating a brief window of chaos in the Roman center. Then, they charge. It is a collision of the ages. A Green Beret engages in close combat, firing controlled bursts, striking with rifle butt, and transitioning to a knife in fluid motion against multiple Roman attackers. But for every Roman he kills, 5 more are clawing at his tactical vest, trying to drag him down by sheer weight. He drops the grenade. A 4,000-degree chemical fire erupts, melting through Roman armor and flesh like a sun falling to earth. The Romans recoil in horror at the blinding white light. It buys the specialist 3 seconds to kick free and roll back into the line. But the price is high. The sergeant's rifle is jammed with Roman blood and bone. He tosses it aside and draws his sidearm. 15 rounds left. 14. 13. Gaius Maximus sees the sergeant. He sees the leader. He drops his shield, draws his gladius, and steps forward for a one-on-one challenge. It's a moment of ancient honor. He wants to prove that a Roman can kill a god. The sergeant looks at the Roman. He could pull the trigger and end him in a millisecond, but he looks at his empty magazine. He looks at his team, battered, bleeding, and surrounded. He puts the pistol in his holster. He draws his Spartan Blades combat knife. "You want a piece of the future, Maximus?" the sergeant growls, spitting blood into the mud. "Come and get it." The 8,000 Romans stop. The 11 Green Berets stop. In the center of a valley of 4,000 corpses, the 2 eras meet for a final, silent duel. The Roman lunges. The Green Beret moves like a blur. The steel of the past meets the carbon fiber of the future. The duel lasts exactly 4 seconds. Gaius lunges with precision. The sergeant parries, twists the wrist until it snaps, and drives the knife through the armor gap. Maximus falls. The hero of Rome is dead. For a heartbeat, the Romans stand frozen. They expected a struggle. They witnessed an execution. The sergeant stands over the body, blood dripping from his chin, and pulls a signal flare. He ignites it. A brilliant crimson light floods the canyon. "We're done here," he says into a dead radio. The Romans don't charge. They watch as the 12 men, battered, exhausted but still standing, move back into the shadows of the cliffs,
and vanish into the rock. Rome kept the pass, but the legions never fought the same again. The survivors tell stories of unseen killers who could summon thunder and light. The Green Berets completed the mission, but learned the oldest truth of war. In the end, it always comes down to the blade.